What's up, guys? StormPow here. Get burnt with the quickness. No, sorry, that's the wrong intro. Hey guys, how's it hanging, everybody? This is StormPow, and welcome to another episode of StormPod. Today we are talking with another great friend of mine. His name is zZToastie. Not only is Toastie a content creator, but he actually does a lot of work behind the scenes for some other really popular YouTubers and Twitch streamers. But other than that, he is a huge movie buff, an anime and manga god, and probably the best meme lord on Twitter. But I don't know how proud of that third title he is, so we'll leave it at that for now. But anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoy this episode of StormPod, and if you want to get an even better experience on future episodes, please be sure to follow my Twitch live stream at twitch.tv/thestormpow. We record these podcasts live every Thursday evening, and by watching it live, not only do you get to hear everything sooner, but we also have a pre and post show where we interact with the audience, and it's always a lot of fun. But anyway, guys, without further ado, here is StormPod with zZToastie. I'm actually really nervous about having you on the podcast because I did some research on you, and it seems like you've been banned off of like every social media like your Twitter, I know, got suspended there for a minute, and I knew that. But then I was doing some research on your YouTube channel, just real quick, just trying to like kind of, brush up on my zZToastie history to have some stuff to talk about. And like, I swear to God, Toastie, the first video that I clicked on, you're just like, "What's up, guys? Toastie here, get burnt." So I'm back. My account on YouTube got suspended. It was a bullshit. It was a copyright thing, but still, I was just like, God damn, Toastie. Like,
I mean, I've only lost two in the end of the day, and one of them was Twitter because of a meme video that Universal Music Group just happened to want to fucking delete because I don't know, they got to stick up their ass, and they think that me posting a fucking meme that has fucking 10 seconds of Marvin's Room from Drake means that I'm trying to like pirate their music. But no, the YouTube one was genuinely Funimation just making a really stupid move, and some guy who's on the fucking thing didn't even watch my video. That he just looked at the thumbnail and was like, "All right, cool. This is definitely the Resurrection F movie on YouTube. I'm going to fucking get this banned off the shit." Which, if I didn't have the fucking connections to fucking literally have to like get that shit reinstated, then I don't know how long it would have taken, because it only took like a week or so, when it should have probably ended up taking over a month, because some people are just incompetent when they do shit like that. They just delete shit in droves and they don't look. So that, like, yeah, most of the time my shit's just been unlucky, because like I've seen a lot of people post that same meme video that I posted that got me taken down on Twitter, and they're fine. So it's really just a case of me being unlucky.
and then the YouTube thing, like you said that they thought that it was like a video, like you thought that it was like the whole ass Resurrection F movie. Like, what actually was it? Was it like just a video talking about it?
It was literally me talking over Xenoverse gameplay about the movie, because the movie had just come out over in Japan, and I was talking about the ending and shit, and like I was just talking about like if the ending was good and shit, and what I thought about how, because the way that movie ends is kind of abrupt, and I'm like talking if I like it or not, or all that shit. And it's really just it's a discussion video. It's like probably like 10 or 12 minutes long. The thumbnail is custom made. It's not even a screenshot from the movie or anything. It's like a render of Goku that's not even from the movie. It's like a promotional picture or whatever. And like, yeah, nothing about that video title or anything makes it seem like that movie, it's the full movie. But I know that they definitely looked up Resurrection F on their fucking YouTube shit, and then they just deleted a bunch of videos without looking at any of them. So I'm probably not even the only person that got hit by that, who actually didn't do anything wrong.
Dude, I wish I could just like go on YouTube and like search and just like fucking mass like delete or demand that YouTube deleted something. Like, for no, like, because like you said, your video is like fucking 12 minutes long, and they're like, "This is definitely our movie," which is what, like an hour and a half long.
Yeah, I don't know. They probably thought it was like just the ending, but like recorded off a phone. It's like, still, it's just like, I don't know. It's because I if I remember correctly, at the end, all of my titles before, I used to always have discussion in the title. So like, I don't know. I feel like whoever was in charge there was just definitely not paying attention to whatever they were doing, and they just deleted a bunch of shit because they really couldn't be asked to do the work to actually look at the videos to make sure what they were deleting was because the copyright system on YouTube really sucks ass, and well, it sucked worse back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just garbage. Like that's really it.
Because you're a partner at that time, right? Like a YouTube partner.
Yeah, I was part of it.
So you would think, like, surely to God, there would be maybe an extra, like, an extra thing of like, all right, this guy probably is not uploading an entire movie to his YouTube channel. Like, he's probably not an actual idiot.
Yeah. And like the thing is that all of them were like Funimation.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is like with YouTube, because it's really stupid. So after you get hit with one copyright strike, your channel's kind of like on high alert. Like, so any possible like company that may, think that, maybe not strike you down, but they're aware of you. If you have a copyright strike or something, I guess they could see that and they know. So they could just they'll be like, oh, hold up, this person got a copyright strike. Oh, he probably fucking uploaded something illegally. And then they would hit it. Cause like after I got hit with Funimation like 3 times for no reason, Toei hit me a few times for the same thing on the same type of video. So yeah, it's just garbage. Like YouTube just is garbage. That's it.
Jesus. So I wanna get back to that a little bit later. So one other thing, speaking of going back on your YouTube, I'm pissed at you too, because I was fucking going back and doing my thing, like, all right, let me brush up, because like you and I met in like 2011.
Yeah.
And like the first big thing, of course, that we did was the Derp Circle, like that podcast, and the crazy good time. Like I went and listened to the first like minute and a half of that first episode, and I couldn't make it through. I was just like, this is so cringy, but
I mean, yeah,
we're
all in fucking high school, so
yeah. But anyway,
I was wearing my fucking my Christian school shirt. There's like a little crest on the chest.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like
talking about anime titties in your Christian school shirt.
Well, we didn't talk about anime titties back then, I don't think. I don't remember that, at least.
Probably.
I wasn't sitting on this bed, but it was a bed that was right here. I don't remember if it was this bed. Actually, it was this bed, I think.
Okay. So, but yeah, I was going back and I was like, I don't really know that much about like what Toastie did before the Derp Circle or anything like that. I was like, I don't really know anything. So I was like, let me just go and see what's up. And it looked like you deleted like all your old videos. So I was like, well, God damn it, I can't do my research.
I think I just privated a lot of them.
Okay.
You ain't got to see that. Like, nobody got to see that.
So I wish that I could go back on my like old
Since
YouTube.
when do you do background checks on your phone? You know me well enough, dog. You could have just asked me. You don't got to background check me.
Well, see, that's what this is for. But I was like, like I like to have some sort of omnipotence, I guess. I don't know.
We've known each other since 2011. And how do you not know?
I don't know.
What? Just because you felt the face of the earth for like 4 years doesn't mean that we all of a sudden never knew each other.
Exactly. But I was like, maybe there's something that I don't know, or at least like something I can give you some shit about. You know what I mean? Like I was giving Omega some shit about some of his old videos and stuff, but I was like, maybe there's something, but no. Like I was like, well, so I guess now I mean, you're right. Now I do have to go into this just organically, like a actual human being. I was like, well, damn.
I mean, the biggest thing really for me is just like I'm a lot nicer when I talk on YouTube, because I wanted to be a little bit professional and welcoming, so that people would fucking subscribe to the channel. But like in actuality, I'm really not like that. So I get like, I don't know, that's like the closest thing if someone could try and say that I'm two-faced, even though I don't know, it's for a reason. But no, like I'm not really like that. But
yeah. But yeah, so like the main thing that was on there was, of course, like the Dragon Ball videos and all that stuff. Like I think it started mostly at like the Ultimate Tenkaichi with like the Barrett and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and then went into like discussion type videos, and it was mostly just like Dragon Ball the whole way through. But then like there was obviously like a huge portion. It was from like I don't know, basically from like 2011 up until like 2016 or so of like really, really consistent. And then it just kind of stopped. And I know you said YouTube sucks, but like I was like, all that happened in like that little 4-year span that I was in the fucking hyperbolic time chamber, and I didn't exist, or, I wasn't really around. Like, I was just kind of curious, like, what happened to, like, cause you fucking blew up in that meantime. And then in the same breath, you were like, nah, fuck this shit, I'm out. And so, yeah, like,
so you're talking about earlier, it's mostly that I started college back in 2013, 2014, around there. And like for a while I was doing okay, but like eventually it was getting harder to like balance both of them. And for me, it was like either do YouTube or do better in school. And like, then I mostly chose YouTube, but then I like, it caught up with me, grades and shit. So I was just like, all right, well, time to switch it up and do school mainly. And then, like eventually I started like just uploading a lot less, and that's just how it was. And then after like a few years, after like 2015 or whatever, Xenoverse 2 came out, and I wanted to like really get back into YouTube, and I did some tutorial type videos, like videos to help somebody attain a certain form or whatever, and those videos blew up, which my views were not the greatest for a while because of how when you're inconsistent, the views are down. Yeah, that's just how it is. So like if you are just gone for a while or whatever, like there's just the views go down. That's just how it is. But yeah, no, those videos blew up, and I was like, I should be happy that my videos are doing very well. Like I had done like a few videos that in a row have done more than like 10,000 views or something like that, or like at least more than 5,000, which was at that point was like a real comeback thing for me, right?
Yeah.
And those videos I think are a much higher view count now, but like besides the point. I was like, I should be very happy that these videos have gotten so many views, but I wasn't enjoying it. Like I didn't really care about YouTube, or like the views were cool and that like I would have more money in my account, but I didn't really care for what I was doing. So I was just like, I'm just not going to do it. I don't know. It's every time I have to explain it, I don't know. It's always so simple as to why I don't, which is why like whenever someone tells me go back to YouTube, I'm like, I just have no interest in doing that. Like, which is why now I edit videos, because I realize that I really don't like. I like the editing aspect, right? I'm like the opposite of Omega. Omega actually hates editing more than anything. I don't know why, but he really hates editing. He likes creating content.
Right.
He hates editing, which is why he streams, because it's pretty much you always create the content without any editing, right?
Right.
It just seems like the perfect match for him. And while that's cool, I really like editing because I like making a video. Like raw footage is like garbage. Like if you upload raw footage, it's just so boring and tasteless and doesn't seem like you tried. But I like editing something and making it not even my own, but like if I'm like doing like Nano's videos or something, like it's just cool to like give life to something that otherwise raw would have no life in it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, like these are just not really the days where you can succeed by just uploading like a 10-minute video of you playing a game and commentating over it.
Stop it.
You've gotta like be like, you gotta add some flavor to it. All the different editing and all that stuff. It's really weird how that's really changed. But so I mean, and doing that is kind of a little bit of an art. It doesn't seem like it, but doing it and not being cringy, but being like funny, implementing maybe some sort of meme or some sort of joke, whether it's like a meme or like a, something that's like an inside joke with your community without being cringy. Yeah.
And just like my favorite thing is adding music, like adding music to something that, because everybody in the Dragon Ball community had this, and I also had this, like just the thought in their brain that like, it's a Dragon Ball video, I got to use Dragon Ball music, whether it be from a game, the show, or whatever. It's got to be Dragon Ball music, right? But like, that's just whack. Like, everybody's heard this music from Dragon Ball, and yeah, sometimes it's cool to bring it back. But like, I don't know, man. There's so many games and so many other things out there that have great music that like never get heard or anything, and it's cool to like just throw that on something and have it like fit well. And even then, like it kind of makes people like if somebody played a game, right? Like, let's say Persona 4, one of my favorite games.
Okay.
Persona 4 is an older game. It was on the PS2. So, like, if I put a song from Persona 4 in Nano's video, that's like if someone has played Persona 4, which quite a few people at this point have, like they're gonna like feel better about that video because it's not just same old schlock that they've heard on every other like it's not the same Battle Z track that they've heard 1,000 times. Like it's a something that makes the video feel a little bit different. And I think that's cool. So like that's like one of my favorite things about adding music to shit.
Okay, that's really cool. Like, because I never really think about that, honestly, because I'm pretty guilty of like either no music or like you said, I'm like, all right, I'm fucking playing Pokemon, Pokemon battle music, or like Pokemon gym leader music or whatever. So like, I know as far as adding music, you've kind of got your go-tos. Like as far as like things, do you listen to those type of songs too, like in your like spare time for fun, or like what do you listen to?
Not in my spare time. Most of the time in my I'm on Spotify or whatever, and I'll be listening to like half the time on Spotify I listen to like podcasts, but like I also like rap, rock, all this bullshit. Like it's just I mean like Brockhampton, Josh Gambino, which I know you're a fan of.
Oh yeah, you know I got a hard PP for Donald Glover.
Let me go on my Spotify and I'll tell you what my daily is. So like it'll just say it's like daily mix or whatever. All right, cool. So here it says Post Malone, Tyler the Creator, Kanye West, Jaden Smith.
Solid.
Yeah, like it's just sometimes it's the Panic at the Disco, Michael Jackson, Lil Wayne.
Okay.
Juice WRLD. Like, yeah.
What podcasts do you listen to mostly? Like what kind are you like a true crime guy or?
Oh no. I listen to like a lot of, so I listen to The Breakfast Club.
I've never heard of that one.
Never heard of The Breakfast Club? Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, I know like the movie, but
no. It's a podcast with well, I guess you won't know him, but Charlamagne the God and a few other people. It's like a radio show, but it's on Spotify too, and it's a very entertaining podcast because they have like a lot of people call in or whatever, and like some people are kind of just crazy. So like, so sometimes you just hear them like come back at somebody. I listen to the Joe Budden podcast. You probably don't know that one either.
I've heard of it, but I've not really ever tried it or anything like that.
Yeah, that one's a good podcast, and Tiny Meat Gang, which is Cody Ko and Noel Miller, which are two big YouTubers. And that one is great. I love that podcast too. Those are the three main podcasts I listen to.
So I tried to get into Tiny Meat Gang, but granted, I don't think I listened to like a whole episode, and I think I was listening to like a random episode. They were mostly just talking about like random shit, and I find it hard to get into ones like that. Like I don't know, my attention span is embarrassingly small, truthfully. But
like most of their podcasts is them coming up with like good like just like multiple like situations into sketch comedy.
I really want to get into that one because there's a guy that I work with that talks about them, and some of the stuff that he says from them is like really hilarious sounding. I just need to give them another shot.
Yeah, that's some funny thing.
Like I mostly
some real funny shit.
I listen to Joe Rogan, of course, every now and then, but he's kind of one I only listen to him mostly because he gets really interesting. I mean, he just had Robert Downey Jr. on there. Like, that's how you know you made
I think
it.
I think his guests are very interesting. Like, he had Elon Musk and all that shit.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. Like, Joe Rogan's podcast for me is just, I don't know. I feel like it's maybe just not engaging for me. Maybe it's just Joe himself that
I'm just like,
I don't have interest in.
Like I said, yeah, he always ends up with like the greatest guests. But I really like Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard.
Yeah, never heard of that.
And Philip DeFranco had a podcast that I really enjoyed, but he only made like 6 episodes, and he doesn't really seem like he has any intention of making any more, and that kind of makes me sad. But kind of going back, I guess, to the whole like making videos for YouTube. I know that you said that you kind of quit. You don't really have like any like appeal to go back. Is it just kind of, I know that you said you like the editing, so you don't really give that much of a shit, I guess, about like the
creating.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Like,
I really don't care about coming up with a video idea, recording it, and all that shit. I really don't care that much about that side of it. I care more about the side of editing, which is why I became an editor.
And so you're going to school right now. Like, aren't you going to like film school or some sort of like media study or something like that?
I'm doing a media study. I'm not going to film school.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm in communication studies, and like there's a media track that's specifically about like media based courses, that's what I'm taking.
Okay. And like, are you planning on like doing like video editing like full time and or something like that when you get out?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So like I guess that kind of makes sense. Like you know, to you, like, or I guess to somebody, you know, like you said, Omega, like obviously like content creation full time is like the goal. You know what I mean? But you, I mean, if content creation is not your like end goal, then YouTube is kind of pointless.
Yeah, no, it's just not my thing.
So I guess, yeah, that makes a lot of sense then. But you've recently like come back to Twitch and doing live streams and all that stuff. And we were talking about it before the stream a little bit, but you even like went balls deep and, you know, bought a Go XLR and a new mic and everything. So, I mean, are you planning on pursuing streaming pretty heavily or?
Yeah, I enjoy actually streaming a lot because streaming is just very fun to like chill out and everything. And like obviously it's not like really like planned creating thing like YouTube is, where you have to come up with a video idea or something like that. So yeah, that is something that I like, and I want to keep doing it. I bought the Go XLR and this mic though just because like I was tired of because I've used the same microphone over there and it still works, and it is a great microphone, but I just feel like, oh, okay, I'll just finally like actually just bite the bullet and upgrade. And the website I told you about made it pretty easy to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So what all YouTubers do you edit for, like mostly right now?
Nanogenics, Kagi Films. Kagi Films, I do every video. Every video on Kagi's channel I do. Besides very, very few exceptions. I'm doing videos right now for Rhyme. It's not an often thing probably because Rhyme likes making and editing his own videos, but parts of Kakarot that he doesn't want to edit, I do. I said Nano already. I'm also doing some videos for D Free.
Okay.
When Riku goes away, or Riku the Best, I do videos for him too. And besides that, just like random, if anybody like wants me to edit videos and like they'll pay me, then I'll do it. So yeah, that's really it.
Who was the first person that you like were able to like edit videos for, where you were kind of like, huh, wait a minute, I can do this?
Kagi.
Okay. And he was just kind of like, damn, dude, I have no fucking time to edit. And you're like, oh, well, I do.
Yeah, Kagi's a workaholic. So every time, like Kagi, he edited his own videos for a while, and he was okay with it, but he just didn't have the time to do it anymore. And like I was like, I'll edit your videos, and he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. So then we started doing it for a while, and eventually, I guess, like, I don't know, I guess YouTube was just not doing that well for him back then. So he was like, all right, well, I can't afford to pay you anymore. And that was like around near the end of my first college run, like about, I think, like a year or so before that or whatever. So after that, like, I just really didn't do anything after he initially was like, all right, yeah, we can't do this anymore if you want to get paid the same amount. But then in, well, I guess the end of last year, near the end of last year, he was like, I can afford to pay you again, because he started doing reactions, because he wasn't doing reactions like that back then. And reactions just like brought his channel back entirely. So that, coupled with the fact that he just had more money now because I assume you remember that Kagi is a voice actor.
Yeah.
And he's wildly successful, I'm gonna tell you. He's in a lot of games and a lot of shows that are quite popular. And like main roles too. It's kind of insane. He's in a lot of shit now. So yeah, he's just got a lot more money in general. So now he can afford to pay me, and he as I said, he's very busy now, so he doesn't have a lot of time to edit. So I just take all of his streams, I edit them up into videos that can be seen separately. Sometimes it's not heavy editing with those, just because like it's daily. So it has to be done every time. But sometimes I have fun with it. Sometimes with Nano, it's more whenever I can. So when I do Nano's videos, and plus there's just a lot more freedom with Nano's videos, because if you're doing reactions, like I can't really add music over the reaction because that defeats the purpose of the original video.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's like Nano and he's talking over Dokkan or whatever, I can just throw some new music on there because it doesn't matter. So yeah, like I can get more creative with Nano's videos, you know, sometimes. A lot more like cool transitions I can do in Nano's videos. But yeah, specifically Ryan's videos, I'm having quite a bit of fun on Ryan's videos just because there's a lot of sound effects he already uses and all that stuff, and his humor is already kind of a dumb type of humor, like Ed and Eddie type stuff.
Yeah.
So I could have a lot of fun with editing those videos.
So what was it like for that little stint on YouTube where everybody was like paranoid about having curse words in their videos, and you're editing videos for some sailor-mouthed young men, and like you're having to like, because I kind of like wasn't really making videos during that time period at all because I was so like confused by what was going on. They're like, you can't cuss, but you also can't put like a censor noise over your cuss. You had to like be very creative with it.
Yeah. All right. So here's what happened, right? Demonetization in like the beginning of 2017 because PewDiePie said the N-word and something else happened. I forgot what else it was. There's one other thing that happened. So demonetization started happening like in widespread. People getting demonetized sometimes before they even put a video out. And personally, because I did do editing for Thunder for his Let's Play channel.
Okay.
He can afford to pay me before. But on those videos, I was doing more than I was doing for everyone else because for everyone else, I edit and I upload. That's it. They make the thumbnail, they title it, and all that shit because that's their avenue. That's not mine.
Right.
Because I never like titling videos and all that stuff to like think about what the best title is. I never
hate
liked
that. I'm like, if I like add this one word in here, I could get like so many more. Yeah, it's stressful.
Yeah. So the thing about demonetization is, at least from my experience, is that it's not even really about what happens in the video. It's always about the title and what's in the tags and all that stuff. Because for Thunder curses a lot. I never saw a video on his channel that got demonetized. Besides one video, but I used the word dominatrix in the title because it was a game called Yakuza, and it was literally about a dominatrix. It was like a side quest. So like the only time is when I had a provocative word in the title that would get demonetized. And a few months ago, there was a YouTuber that like did a kind of like an experiment, and they found that YouTube demonetized based off words in titles and shit. Sometimes it could happen if the video is like very, I guess, vulgar, but just curse words doesn't result in demonetization in my experience. Because as I said, Thunder curses a lot, never got demonetized for just off of the video's content. Kaggy's paranoid about it, so he has me censor anyway.
Yeah.
Despite it most likely not mattering, he still wants it. So I do it anyway. But like Rhyme, it really doesn't. Like I doubt Rhyme gets demonetized often. Yeah. So the only person that seems to have gotten demonetized pretty often is Afro.
Really?
For cursing. Yeah, because Afro doesn't really have like titles that are provocative, but he does get demonetized, and I don't know why. I assume it's because of his size and how big he is. That if it like someone probably puts like a community strike on his thing, and they just demonetize the video because of that. But yeah, that's the only person that I've met or seen that has that type of content and still gets demonetized. But everybody else, and plus Kaggy, so a few days ago, I guess, Kaggy posted his first Kakarot video like around a week ago. And he edited that one because he originally wanted to edit those himself. He's like, I'll edit it. And then he's like, oh, never mind, I'm not gonna have the time for it. And he didn't censor himself in that video because he just couldn't be asked. And that's a lot of work. Yeah. To censor someone in a video, especially if they curse a lot like Kaggy does. Kaggy curses a lot.
Yeah, he does.
Way too much. And he didn't censor himself, but the video is not demonetized. So like that's my point. Like I really don't think it matters. Like it may change your ads, maybe, but that's like something that you actually have to do an experiment over. Like you can't just like have one person do it and think that means it for everybody. You have to actually have an experiment where multiple people will do that and see if it actually changes their ads.
Yeah. All those algorithms change so often, and they're never transparent about those changes, you know?
Yeah, because if you're transparent about it, then people know exactly how to game the system.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they can't tell you why this is getting demonetized specifically, because then people are going to just find a way to get around that entirely.
So, like, I have this theory that YouTube is going to do away with the view count. And I talked about this a little bit on my stream, and like it's totally like a I don't know. I feel like when you hear that at first, you're like, no way. But like, if you think about it, you know, YouTube really doesn't give a shit about how many views your videos get. Like, they are way more concerned with the engagement, you know, like,
yeah, watch time.
right. Like, they don't care at all if like 1 million people watched my video, if most of them like
Clicked off a few seconds.
yeah, they're like, oh, well, this isn't what I thought it is, and clicked off. You know, they want them to watch as much of that as possible, because then like there's more ads that can play, you know, they're more likely to click on another, all that stuff. So like, but I think that we as content creators are still kind of stuck in that head of like, you know, oh, like I got to get this many views. And if I make the title of this, and I make the thumbnail this, then I'm going to get these views, and these views are great. And like, that's not what YouTube wants, you know? And I feel like,
yeah.
I feel like after them having, I mean, the system's been like this for like a year or better now, like where it's been more watch time based. And so I feel like they're like, all right, well, these head asses aren't getting it through their head ass that views don't matter. You know what I mean? It's almost like how Instagram got rid of I don't know, that everybody said that Instagram was going to get rid of like the likes amounts or whatever, but I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. I don't really use Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think maybe like there's a possibility, but I don't think it's going to happen in the next few years. I think it's going to take like more than half a decade.
Like,
or if that ever does happen, I think that'll take longer than that.
I just envision like, you know, say you're watching like this video when it goes up on YouTube or something like that, and then you're like looking at the related videos in the side. I imagine instead of them like being like the title of the video and the thumbnail and the view count, instead of like the view count, I envision it saying, or like showing maybe like the like to dislike ratio or something like that, or whatever. You know, so that way, like, you know, if you see a video has a fuck ton of dislikes or something like that, you're probably not going to click on it, you know, unless obviously, I mean, there's drama alert videos and all those stuff that are inevitably going to get disliked, but people still click on them because they juicy, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that was an issue just because of clickbait back then. And I think that like clickbait was still a big thing, because I feel like YouTube had a lot of issues with a content creator called Leafy. I don't know if you're.
The name sounds familiar. Anyway, that might have been right as I was moseying on out the door.
Yeah. Well, no, that was way later. It was like 2017, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's like right in the middle.
Leafy was pretty late. Because he really exploded. He was someone who had a very small channel, then it just exploded out of nowhere, got over 1 million subs, I believe, and all that. Like, yeah, very, very, very quickly exploded. And the types of content that he was making was more like, you could say bullying, because he'd watch somebody's video, and then like he'd really make fun of them. Like, it was just a lot of jokes and all that stuff. And sometimes he'd go a little too far with the jokes and all that. And he would always use the picture in the thumbnail or whatever. Sometimes it was provocative, sometimes it was sexual. And I feel like that type of thing is when YouTube was like, all right, well, people don't care about this channel itself. Like, they just click off. So let's change the algorithm to where watch time matters more than view count. But yeah, I don't know. I think that doing away with the views, I feel like they're just going to do away with the views in terms of how much they matter, but I think they'll keep the views themselves, because it'll give the illusion that it's still like about views.
That's true.
I feel like if they remove it, people are going to know, oh, views actually just don't matter because they removed them. And I feel like views are such an important thing in terms of just the internet in general. Views and clicks are very important, that I think that doing away with them would make people think, so they don't matter, then what does matter? And people are gonna think more about what does matter and all that shit. And I feel like YouTube want to avoid that. And I think they like the number of views just being there. I think they like that.
There is something really fucking satisfying about looking at a video and seeing like 1.2 M or something like that, or 5 M. You're just like, damn, that's right. You know. Yeah. And I think, you're probably right. If that does ever happen, it'll be a long time, because like, now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, views are not just a YouTube thing, obviously. Like, I mean, like, you know, fucking there are lots of content creators on like Facebook and stuff like that, and other social medias where views are like a very very predominantly like highlighted metric that's available to the viewer, you know. you can see how many views like a video, like Twitter videos don't really show it as much. Like you can see, but like, you know, it's not as big of a deal.
You can see it in the analytics.
Yeah.
Like the analytics of Twitter will tell you like a lot more than you would think they would.
Mm-hmm.
Like Twitter analytics, if you get a chance, look at your Twitter analytics.
Okay.
You will see like a whole bunch of shit.
I'll have to do that because like I'm an analytics kind of guy. Like I sometimes like overthink the analytics. I'm like, wait a minute, this thing says that I had a handful of 47-year-olds from the United Kingdom, and I'm just like, where the fuck, you know, or whatever. And like I like overthink that stuff. I'm just like, where the fuck are these, you know? But yeah, sometimes I get a little bit too into that. One of my favorite things, kind of going back just a little bit, one of my favorite things, speaking of you like editing videos and like putting in music and all that stuff, is and feel free to give me your thoughts on this, is when you get comments on like particularly Nano's videos. I know it happens a lot, of your music taste, and people or rather, let me just go ahead and stir the pot here. When people compliment Nano's music taste, because Nano's music taste is so great.
Yeah. It happens quite a lot. Like anytime that there's a standout track in a video that people like a lot, they're like, damn, Nano's music taste is super cool. And like, just because everybody thinks that he edits every one of his videos, which is not, it's not a wrong assumption to make, because he did edit all of his videos for a long time. And like, you know, sometimes in his videos, he's like, you know, Toastie editing a lot of videos for me. It's really helping me out or whatever. But like, you know, a lot of them are kids. They're not going to know. I don't really care that much. It's mostly a meme for me. But it is funny.
Yeah.
When it happens. Like if I put like let's say, because I put, the biggest time that it's happened was when I put a Sonic Unleashed song in there. I put Endless Possibilities from Sonic Unleashed. And all the comments were about the song. Barely anywhere about the video. And everyone was like, damn, Nano knows Sonic Unleashed, Endless Possibilities. Great taste, Nano. Which Nano probably knows about that song. He just isn't, he never thinks to like use that type of stuff in videos. It's just like, as I said, it's kind of caked in the brains of a lot of Dragon Ball tubers that Dragon Ball music, Dragon Ball video, that's just how it needs to work out. Nano's kind of broken out of it because like he's started using a lot of if you go on Nano's videos and you hear either his normal music, which is Dragon Ball music, or you hear Persona 5 music specifically, it's most likely Nano making the video. But if you hear music from other stuff, like Blaze Blue, Guilty Gear, you hear just like stuff from other games or anything like that, then it's most likely me.
Okay.
It's very often, not often even, that Nano will go outside of either Persona 5 or Dragon Ball music.
Okay, because yeah, like I think I'd have mixed feelings. Like part of me would be like, well, I know that they're really complimenting my music taste, and so like I would take it as a compliment. But then I think there's the like, I guess attention whore part of me where I'd be like, God damn it. Like, no, like I would feel like, and I talked about this a little bit on the last episode, like the Spider-Man syndrome where I'm like, no, like, you know, everybody, like I'm not getting the credit because it's like an alter ego kind of thing. Like they don't know how cool I really am, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they're kids. I can't blame them for thinking that, as I said before, but like, I mean, I guess, but I don't know. I really don't take that much offense to it.
That's
like,
good.
You know, it is the music that I put in the video, so it's whatever. It doesn't really matter that much to me.
Okay. And speaking of Spider-Man, you got your Spider-Verse poster in the background.
Oh yeah.
Best
movie ever.
So, I'm going to go ahead and tell you something. I've never actually like watched all of that movie.
Why not?
I don't know. Like I tried to watch it late at night one night, and I got very shortly in, and I was like, we ended up like going to bed, like falling asleep on the couch type night. But like, I've been meaning to watch it, but I was just like, so that is your favorite Spider-Man movie, and that's your favorite movie.
My favorite movie ever. Like it's not it's favorite movie ever. Period. It's number one.
Okay. Why is that? I'm not like arguing or anything with you. I'm just like, why is that? Like, You know.
So I pretty much everything that I love about Spider-Man is kind of in that movie. And Spider-Man's my favorite superhero. Everything about anybody could be Spider-Man. You know, anybody can be a better person. It just takes a leap of faith. That type of thing, I think that's awesome. The animation in the movie is fantastic, and I'm a really big fan of animation in general. I love like a lot of the character choices it makes, a lot of the themes it makes. I think the movie's a lot more thought out than a lot of people give it credit for. I think it uses every character very well. Because like Spider-Verse is a concept, and because it was in a comic before, which is why I was very skeptical about the movie before it came out. Because it's so messy. There's so many spider people, and it's a mess. It's almost awful. So when they made a movie about it, I was like, oh, I'm kind of scared for this. But they actually made it a story about someone who isn't actually Peter Parker. Like Peter's in the movie, but they made an entire Spider-Man story around someone who isn't even Peter Parker, which is, really, have they ever pulled that off before? Not really. In terms of movies, they've never pulled that off. It's always Peter, and like it's kind of made people think that only Peter can be Spider-Man, which is why when the movie came out, people were like, the fuck is this kid? Who's this black child? Why is he Spider-Man? Like Peter Parker Spider-Man, that's just how everybody thinks, because that's what every single movie that's come out before and after, because even the Marvel movies after, it's always Peter Parker. He's always Spider-Man. There's no other Spider-Man. The only other way, like, thing that's kind of alluded to someone else being able to be Spider-Man is Spider-Man PS4, which had Miles Morales in it, but he didn't really even become Spider-Man in that game. So like, This is the only time in a mass media thing, like a movie or a TV show, where somebody else is Spider-Man and is the main character and actually gets focused and actually is a great character. Because I actually like the idea of Miles Morales a lot, but Miles Morales in the comics is ass. He's awful.
Really?
Like, I really don't like him. He's honestly just more of a race changed Peter Parker, and a lot of the times he's very lame. There's a lot of times where he's just like lame in the sense that you don't even like root for him a lot. And in this movie, they make him more confident and they make him more understandable, and they like give him a lot more character growth than people kind of, as I said, people don't give enough credit to this movie. People say it's great, right? But like people don't give the credit to this movie, and like the story department, they just think, yeah, no, it's a normal kids movie, but it's really not. It's a lot more clever than people give it credit for, and I think that deserves a lot more. Like it's my favorite movie ever, and to me, it's the best ever. But obviously, like everybody's gonna be like, yeah, but Schindler's List or Fight Club or anything like that. And well, I haven't seen Schindler's List because that movie's extremely long and it's always daunting to start it.
Yeah.
But I've seen Fight Club and I love it. It's definitely my top 10. But like, I think that it matters more about what the movie means to me, more than anything. And I think that movie genuinely is a fantastic work, entirely put together by 3 different directors, which never happens. If something has more than 2 directors, usually it could be a mess.
Yeah. And
like everything was against this movie beforehand, because Spider-Man movies had not been great. We had Spider-Man Homecoming like the year before, which everybody was like, yeah, I loved it, but I personally didn't love it that much. Before that was the Amazing Spider-Man trilogy, along with the 3rd Spider-Man movie originally, which wasn't loved either. So we hadn't had a really great Spider-Man movie to me since Spider-Man 2, which was in 2004. It's been over a decade where I don't think there's been a fantastic Spider-Man movie out, and then that movie came out, and that was like, damn, that is my favorite thing, like piece of Spider-Man media. And just because like Spider-Man's my favorite hero, and I love animation, and I love everything about that movie, it's just my favorite of all time. And I don't know if it'll ever get dethroned, not even by the sequel, because I feel like the sequel won't be able to like. I feel like it's lightning in a bottle. I feel like they won't be able to actually like get the exact same type of magic that they did with the first one. I feel like it was a one-time thing, and I really don't think they will. But I'm hoping that the sequel is as good, or if they could be better somehow than the original, then I'll be there for it. My ass is in the seat day one. No lie, my ass is in the seat day one. If I could, I would order my ticket now, but I can't. So yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about Spider-Verse. There's obviously movies that are like my 2, 3rd, 4th favorite movies that people would say are better than Spider-Verse, but yeah, it's really just me. But it's my favorite movie ever. I love it.
That's interesting about like Spider-Man. Like, I would probably say he's my favorite superhero too, but I've never really like put it into thought as far as why. I'm just kind of like, damn, Spider-Man's fucking cool. But like saying like, oh, anybody can be Spider-Man, like that is pretty cool. Like not really a lot of other superheroes go, with that, like they're always like, oh,
Yeah.
this is Superman. You know what I mean?
And usually if there is, then they're like one person specifically. Because like in Spider-Verse itself, the movie, there's more than Miles Morales. Miles Morales isn't even the only other kid. There's 3 other spider people that show up. I guess 4. One of them is not a person. It's a pig. But like there's more than one of them. And like the thing is, like, I think that's really cool because you have an Asian American girl who in her universe is Spider Woman, I guess. You have a different Peter Parker from the 1930s, who's Spider-Man Noir. Well, actually, I don't think he's 1930s because he fights Nazis. So I guess maybe the 40s is accurate. So like you have that, and then you have a pig.
Yeah, that's right.
And you have Gwen, a completely different person who just knew Peter, but just got like the powers herself. It's like, so it's like not only Peter is the only like great person in the world great enough to be Spider-Man. It's like there are other people out there, and they also, anybody who gets the power is kind of like, when they take up that responsibility and actually use it for good, that they're Spider-Man. That's the main idea.
Yeah.
And it even goes deeper than that, which is why I love that movie so much. Because every time I watch that movie, I get so happy. I've seen it more than 15 times, and I will see it again and again. And I never get tired of the movie. I love it. I love that movie.
I'll have to actually fucking get my shit together and finish it and talk to you.
I'm telling you, it's on Netflix. Just boot it up after the stream. Guarantee.
Right?
Get it.
And then so kind of staying on the thing of Spider-Man, like I don't think that I'm probably wrong, but I don't think that I've seen a whole lot of like thoughts from you in regards to what's going on right now with the whole like Morbius and the like crossover between Sony and Marvel and all that. Like, are you hyped for that, or are you kind of like, oh, this is probably gonna suck?
Yeah, usually I talk a lot about Spider-Man on Twitter, but I haven't done a lot about the shit and all that. So I'm like one of the people that liked Venom, but I only liked it because it was fun. I didn't. It's on terms of actually being a movie, it's terrible.
Yeah,
right? It's like a 4 out of 10, maybe even 3 out of 10.
Oof.
It's a bad movie. It's a very bad movie, but it's a very enjoyable movie. So it gets points for me, just for being a fun movie. Like, but I it's just my personal enjoyment of it. I think it's a terrible movie in general. So like Sony is already kind of shaky on terms of if they can make a good Spider-Man based movie, but not a based on Spider-Man, because they tried to make it about Eddie Brock. Didn't really make him an interesting character, and didn't really make Venom an interesting character either, but it's just a fun dynamic to hear. That's it. But they didn't care about the characters. And they didn't care about the filmmaking either, because the movie honestly doesn't look that good either. It looks pretty bad.
I didn't really like the design and everything. Like it was almost like,
I like the design of Venom is actually very close to what the comics is, and I actually like that a lot.
Really?
But I think the movie itself, like everything around it, is pretty ugly. I think that the blue lens flare thing is really tired out.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams did enough of that, and like the blue lens flare thing is just like in almost every other shot in that movie. It's a pretty abysmal looking movie, honestly. I think. But like, I'm hoping that Morbius is good, because Jared Leto, besides the Joker shit, because everybody only thinks of that, Jared Leto's a really talented actor. He's been a talented actor for years and years and years. And I guess as soon as the Joker thing happened, everybody forgot that Jared Leto can act, and he's a good actor. So yeah, no, I think that he can definitely kill it. But I feel like the movies themselves are always what suffer. And if they're trying to connect it with the MCU, which they technically are, but not, they're half-assing it, really.
Yeah.
Because Sony don't want Marvel taking too much control over, because then a lot of the times they'll also take the money, which is why the Spider-Man debacle even happened anyway, because Disney wanted more money, and Sony are the ones like in charge of these movies. So they're like, no, Spider-Man's our property. We're gonna make the movies the way we want to make the movies. So now it's kind of a stalemate to where it's like it's half and half. Like, yeah, you can have stuff from the MCU Spider-Man movies, but you can't affect the MCU. So you're not going to see something happen in the MCU Spider-Man movie that really matters over in their universe thing. And Tom Holland could appear in Morbius, but if something happens to him in Morbius, like he gets stabbed or something, you're not going to see a wound in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
So it's like that. And honestly, it's a really messy way to try and bridge something.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I think that the best way is to go with your own Spider-Man. Have another actor play Spider-Man, have a different suit, do exactly what you did with Andrew Garfield, but this time just don't make the movie shit.
Hey guys, how's it hanging, everybody? I hope that you're enjoying the episode so far. I do want to stop for just a second and recommend a couple of things for you to check out. First of all, this week's product of the week is the Audio-Technica ATH M50X headphones. These headphones have been a staple in my content creation career forever. I do not know what I would do without these. These are the comfiest, most awesome studio monitoring headphones I have ever found. They work great whether you're just listening to music or you're producing a podcast or your other kind of content creation, and they are comfortable as hell. So be sure to check those out at amzn.to/35QF599 and make sure all those letters are capitalized. I also really want to recommend Streamlabs Prime. A lot of you already know about Streamlabs because 70% of live streamers on Twitch use Streamlabs. Well, Streamlabs Prime is their premium service, which gives you a ton of different features. It gives you access to a ton of professional overlays that you can use, different themes. You get your own creator website, merch store, just a whole friggin' slew of things that will make starting out content creation a lot easier. Cannot recommend Streamlabs Prime enough. So if you want to go ahead and start a subscription for Streamlabs Prime, which to me is one of the best investments you can make as a content creator, check out streamlabs.com/editor promo equals the StormPow. Lastly, we have a merch store. I'm gonna leave it at that. You guys know what merch is. Be sure to go to streamlabs.com/the StormPow/merch to check out coffee mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, things of that nature, all relating to just me in general, but also to this podcast. Anyway, guys, that's it for now. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Yeah, if we just had like two whole ass different Spider-Man timelines going on right now, I'd be perfectly content with that. I think that'd be a lot less confusing and probably a lot, because I feel like my biggest fear is that they're going to try too hard to integrate the two universes together, and it's going to come out being cheesy. Like there's going to be little cheesy ass Easter eggs, and
yeah. I don't. I think the Michael Keaton thing in the end of the trailer was pretty great.
Yeah,
I think because Michael Keaton's he knocks it out of the park in that role, and he hasn't even been there since Homecoming. Mm-hmm. So I think that if you focus more on the villains and you have more of the villains from the Spider-Man movies come through, then that's great. But I think focusing too much on Spider-Man himself, which they definitely are because Sony are just like that, where they're like, we need Spider-Man in the movie to sell the tickets. We're going to have him in the last trailer, which I get. But Venom did really well without any Spider-Man in it.
Yeah, it did really well. And like you said, it wasn't even that good of a movie. So imagine if they make a great movie.
It wasn't that good of a movie. It literally sold itself off of just being a Venom movie.
Yeah.
Without Spider-Man. Spider-Man's not in that movie. Not in any way. Nobody says anything about him. Nothing happens with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And somehow that movie did so well that it almost cracked $1 billion. Four-fifths of the way to $1 billion, which for a Venom movie without Spider-Man is insane. So I thought that Sony would think, okay, maybe we can actually turn this into a thing that doesn't need Spider-Man or our own Spider-Man, which is what I would prefer for Morbius. Have your own Spider-Man get introduced, but he's the antagonist because Morbius is the protagonist. So just make it the opposite of what it would be in a Spider-Man movie. Make Morbius the protagonist and frame it everything from his point of view to why Spider-Man's the bad dude and that he's the good guy, because he is, in the beginning, he's a good guy. He's a scientist and all that, and he gets crippled or whatever. He has some disease, and he has to cure himself, which then he ends up becoming a vampire. So he's not at least as far as I know, an inertly bad dude. So make it from his point of view, because that's always the best way, is to make your villain not just a villain, and really care about what they think and how they see the world and how the heroes are the bad guys to them. Like Thanos. Thanos thinks that the heroes are in the way of his mission, and his mission is to wipe out half of the universe so that there's more resources for everybody, which, even though the plan's stupid, it makes sense to some people.
Right.
Which is why some people think that, Thanos isn't really wrong, but he is. But the fact that people can see a reasoning and that he's not just evil to be evil, that's the good thing about a villain. That's good.
Right. It's not just a one-dimensional, I will rule the world and blah, 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 Yeah. There's some meaning to it. But like I've been saying pretty much ever since the whole Thanos thing ended, and like they kind of pretty much after I watched Far From Home, or Far From Home, like right after watching that, I was like, because you know at the end of Homecoming, there's kind of that thing where you know Michael Keaton meets the dude at the prison and everything. You're kind of like, okay, I see you, and like the fact that they kept him alive and everything at the end of that, and all that, and then I'm like, okay, they're definitely making like a new saga to the MCU, and Spider-Man is kind of being set up to be like the main dude, almost like the new Tony Stark level of like leader, or like, you know, kind of central focus and everything. And I was like, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, if I'm Marvel and you know, I'm developing this next saga out, like the only thing to me that would make sense, like how are you going to outdo a villain like Thanos? The only way to me to outdo that was to do something like the Sinister Six. Like instead of, obviously there are villains that they could do, you know, like people have talked about like Galactus and stuff like that. That would be pretty comparable. But like, I was like, I felt like it was a much more like Marvel thing to do, to be like, nah, bitch, we're gonna like, what's more crazy than like one big ass villain? We're gonna make 6 of them, you know? And so I was getting really hyped for like an MCU kind of Sinister Six. Now, like I think the Sinister Six might actually be better like Sony style, because it tends to be more dark, less humor and everything.
Yeah.
But
I think that because Marvel, after the Endgame thing, they're like, all right, this was 10 years, which people didn't even really know that it was going to end up like that.
Yeah.
People like after Avengers could piece together, okay, so they're going to have a big threat eventually and they're going to have to beat it. But they didn't know it was going to be Thanos specifically. They maybe would have thought it would be Galactus or some shit. And they also probably thought that like the X-Men were very important in terms of putting them in, and you know the X-Men weren't a part of them at that point. When Spider-Man came through, it was probably the biggest surprise for a lot of people. They did Civil War, which was completely different from the Civil War in the comics. Mm-hmm. So they were already changing things to be their own. So when they did Thanos and made him a completely different character, he's honestly like completely different. Like he's much more, he's much less of like the big bad guy. Because in the cartoons and in the comics, he's really like he's a bad dude, and he really loves it. He loves being that guy, loves being a bad dude. And he kind of shows that a little bit in the movies. But like the difference between Infinity War Thanos and Endgame Thanos are like, to me, the easiest example of showing how a good villain and a bad villain are just like not together the same character. Because Thanos is the same, like it's the same guy, right? But in Infinity War, he's the protagonist in that movie, honestly. And everything is really from his point of view. So you get a much more of a better character out of that, right? You think more highly of him. But in Endgame, he's really just a villain who's a villain to be a villain. And he's just like, he's going to enjoy destroying the universe. It's not the same guy at all. Like, it's just completely different. So like, and this is only supposed to be a few, like, I think like a year or so or two before Infinity War Endgame happens. So it's like, damn, it's like a completely different character, which is like, so I think that they're going to probably focus more on select characters and their villains. Like, I think Sinister Six would be great, but I don't think Sinister Six would ever go up against all the Avengers. It's just an outnumbering. The thing about the Sinister Six that makes them interesting is that it's the multiple Spider-Man villains together teaming up onto one guy. Because Spider-Man in his place, in his New York, he is by himself. Like sometimes the Avengers will pop up, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes Tony will pop by, sometimes he'll be with Captain America. Half the time it's Falcon. Like, you know, sometimes he'll be there just to like throw out some witty remarks and stuff. But like on the whole, Spider-Man is a lot of a standalone hero, which is why I didn't really mind when Sony were the only ones that were in like a separate universe with him. Because like Spider-Man by himself is usually separate. He's usually not with everybody else in that big Endgame moment, like, because usually Spider-Man's by himself fighting against, you know, one bad guy or 2 bad guys or 6 of them together.
Right.
So that's really what makes Sinister Six interesting to me. So I think that if they were going to do them in the MCU, they have to do it with Spider-Man. Maybe you can have one other person. I would assume it would be Miles Morales would be the best person to team him up with, and then, you know, have the Sinister Six against all of them. I think that's just much better than trying to make them MCU villains entirely. The only thing that really can go up against all of the Avengers characters, like all the characters in the Portal and Endgame, I think the only characters that can go up against them is like Galactus or just big cosmic villains. I think because cosmic is the way that they're going.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way they can go when they have that many superheroes on one side.
That is true.
Yeah, Spider-Man stuff, honestly, keep it more separate from the rest of the MCU. Let Spider-Man be his own character. Don't let him piggyback off of another character anymore, because it's already kind of happened with Tony, at least in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
I don't like how much he piggybacks off of Tony for development, because I think that he's just a lot better than that in terms of just as a character in general. So yeah, just have Spider-Man be separate. Let him do his own thing, which it's all I want, really. All I really want is for Peter to be himself, do his own thing, and have his own stories. Don't focus on another character, another like hero or whatever being, his inspiration, all that. No. Now, especially after Far From Home, because I was already at that point. I was like, all right, make it about Spider-Man. And they said they would, but they didn't really. They still made it about him dealing with Tony after Endgame and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So now, hopefully, it's only about Peter. I hope. I really do. In the future MCU stuff, I hope that for his movies, it's all about Peter. It's not about whoever else is around him or whatever. I hope it's all about Peter. Yeah, obviously MCU characters can come by if that, maybe a end credit scene. Make it like Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange was about Doctor Strange. Like, it was about all about him, right? You didn't see any other MCU character until the end credits. Make it like Doctor Strange was, and like just don't have it focused on having every character in the movie. Only focus on Peter. You can have them in credit scenes and all that, but that's all I want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Far From Home was good for me. It was all right, but yeah, I just hope that they keep getting better.
Yeah, I feel like I'm alone most of the time in that I actually liked Far From Home, like, just as much as I liked Homecoming, I feel like. Now, like, I like the MCU Spider-Man as a character himself, but I agree, like, completely with what you're saying. Like, I wish he wasn't so reliant on Tony, and really now that you've mentioned it, I've kind of realized that, like you said, really, I mean, both of the movies that he has had in the MCU have been not even just partially based or like partially centered around like, his reliance on Tony Stark, but that has been a huge focus. Like, the beginning of the first one is he's trying to earn his approval. And then in the, all throughout Far From Home, or especially at the beginning, they got a little bit better on that one, but it's more so like, how can I live up to his memory and shit like that? And it's kind of like, damn it, dude.
Spider-Man.
Go be Spider-Man.
Just be Spider-Man. That's it. Just be Spider-Man. Don't be fucking Iron Man. Who cares?
Yeah. Like,
let Iron Man be Iron Man, or let whoever comes after him, which there is a girl named Riri Williams who's supposed to be Iron. They call her Iron Heart, but yeah, that's probably the character that's going to end up being the Iron character of the future. But just be Spider-Man. That's it. That's all I care about. Yeah, I liked Far From Home more than Homecoming. I didn't really like Homecoming.
Neither
Homecoming
did I.
Was not my cup of
I was
tea.
like, this is cool. I was just happy to see Spider-Man, like a new Spider-Man movie, because I like Spider-Man. But like, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I was a little bit underwhelmed. Like, it was cool. It was funny. It had good. But like, Far From Home to me, like, I loved Mysterio as a villain a lot more than I liked the Vulture as a villain. Not to say that Michael Keaton did bad on that, because we've talked about how like he did great, but. I liked
the character itself for the Vulture. I like Michael Keaton too. So like, I think that the villain was the best part of Homecoming for me.
Yeah.
I didn't really mess with the humor. I didn't really mess with what was going on in the movie a lot. It's just not my type of movie. But yeah, I think that Michael Keaton and like kind of like meant to be like the working man who he's like, we got to make our own here. We can't rely on them, because they don't care about us, that type of thing. I think that's a smart dynamic to take the Vulture in, because the Vulture has not been interesting like that for me ever. In anything that I've seen the Vulture in, he's never been that interesting to me. So I think that that's pretty cool, and I like the suit and all that stuff. But like, yeah, Mysterio was very good. He was very fun to watch, and Jake Gyllenhaal killed it in that role.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows, whatever about the ending or whatever, about what they really mean by all that stuff. I'm assuming he's not dead. I can only assume, because it doesn't make sense to kill him off. Plus, Marvel wants to never kill characters like that.
Yeah.
So
and like,
I assume it was a fake out.
It's so hard to tell. And yeah, I agree. It would be very easy. it would be way too easy, in fact, for them to just basically be like, lol, 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 it was an illusion, you know, because I mean that's his whole character is like he has these abilities to make these illusions and shit. I mean, it would just be way too easy. But like to me, I think my biggest problem with Homecoming, more so than Far From Home, is sometimes the humor felt a little bit like campy almost, and especially with Flash. I really don't like the Flash Thompson in the MCU. He's like, to me anyway, so cringy of like a stereotypical bully, like the whole, like, when I say penis, you say Parker. I'm just like, look, as somebody who actually got picked on in an actual public high school, like, this is not what it is. Like, you know, the popular kid isn't like a DJ at a party, like, you know, telling people to put penis in my name. Like, it's just, you know, it's just stupid shit. It's just people.
Yeah, it's as far as I know, I think that they're like some special school, actually, like a private school for the gifted or something like that. But yeah, so they tried to turn because they knew that the type of bully that Flash is doesn't really fly normally anymore. Mm-hmm. Like the bully that stuffs you in a locker and fights you in public and all. It's not a thing that happens that much anymore.
Yeah.
So they wanted to change Flash to make him a little bit more just different. I don't think they really attempted to make him more interesting. But yeah, I don't really mess with it. I think that the actor's doing an okay job at being a dickhead, but I don't know. It's the only thing I really like is that this is the only time that they have actually in a movie shown that Flash is a big fan of Spider-Man.
Yes,
which they've never done before, because the original ones, Flash was literally a character only in the first one and wasn't even a character. He was just a time for Peter to showcase his powers, and that was it.
I do like the actor for Flash. Like, I think he's doing a good job, and it's really, and like you said, I kind of like the concept too, how he's a fan. It's just sometimes some of those, like, sometimes like the bullying is just like obnoxious. I'm just like, and that's a pet peeve of mine though, to be fair. Like I like whenever bullying is like really like just over the top, I'm just like, this is not realistic, or, you know, just some of that shit. But other than that, no, I really liked Far From Home. You know, but what are your thoughts on MJ? This MJ, like, it seems to be very hit or miss with people.
I know what they're doing, and it's all right. Like, I think
what are they doing?
They're making her first of all, they tried in Homecoming to make her the girl that like doesn't show that she really likes him, but she likes him. And, like, probably everybody else could see it, but like, you know, he's oblivious. She kind of treats him a little bit more aggressively, just because like that's how some girls show that they like somebody. They're like more aggressive with them, or they make fun of them or something like that, right? And I thought that was like, that's all right, you know what I'm saying? But they barely cared about her in the first one, and I didn't like that in the beginning of Far From Home. Peter's already on a fucking mission to date MJ. But there's been no like on-screen stuff with that. And I think that's the most important thing, because it just made it seem like it was a checklist where they just really cared about, all right, Peter needs to be with MJ by the end of this movie. How do we do that? Well, we have to just make it where he wants to get with her at the beginning. We can't make it before, when like him like not be interested in her in the beginning, and then all of a sudden in the first act he's interested. Like, we have to make it so that he's already been interested off screen, but we never saw that.
I agree.
Like, that's my main issue.
I never really even realized that. God damn it. I need to quit, because like you're making me realize flaws in the movie. But like, now that you've pointed that out, I'm like, God, you're right. They really did just kind of like, that was very like contrived. They were just kind of like, all right, like, cause really, like, literally, I think it's like within the first like couple minutes they're talking about like how he's
the movie literally starts out with that joke thing with the Tony or whatever, like the video that they made, and then as soon as you see Peter, the first thing he says is, I need to ask MJ out.
Yeah.
First thing, and it's just like, where was all of this? Like, I never saw that you said that you actually are interested in her, whatever. And it's like, people are saying like, he's in high school. I'm like, yeah, and I'm sorry, but even Ned in the movie had a reason for why he got with Betty Brant. Like, there was a reason, and like, it happened in the beginning of the movie. And like, yeah, it was a high school relationship where it was like, it was over in a field trip. I'm saying, but like, the thing is that they actually showed a reason as to why he would even bother like liking her at all. But like, Peter just immediately likes MJ. It's just, it's really weird. It's a really weird jump.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And like it's kind of interesting you were talking about Flash kind of how he like they had to make him a different bully because like I feel like for one you're right, they did have to make Flash a different bully because, well it's also how like um Peter himself has changed too. Like especially it's most noticeable in the Amazing Spider-Man, like the Andrew Garfield, because like initially like a lot of people are like, oh well, Andrew Garfield is like skateboarding and stuff, and I'm like, well yeah, but like during that time, like he was a hipster,
Yeah.
like, and that was kind of like not necessarily like going for like the nerdy thing, but an outcast in general,
Yeah.
like
Like I understand entirely. I don't know how everybody misses the mark on that.
yeah.
Because like I will be the first to tell you, the Amazing Spider-Man movies are by a big margin just not that good.
Mhm.
There's a lot of problems with those movies in terms of studio interference and in terms of just the decisions made.
Yeah.
But the way that they went with Peter is entirely, first of all, it's in character. If you're even thinking about the Ditko Spider-Man, which is old, but like still like Peter is not like a goody two shoes kid in the Ditko stuff, which is really early on.
Right.
He's kind of a smartass, and he's really he doesn't really care about other people. He's kind of just he only cares about himself and the people he cares about. He doesn't really like care a lot about everybody. You know what I'm saying? Which obviously they've changed over the course of the last decades. But like if you even think about that, like that makes more sense. And the fact that just like, not everyone's gonna be the glasses where he wears glasses, but he's not gonna be the glasses telling like, yeah, y'all don't even know about chemistry. It's like nobody does that.
Yeah.
Nobody does that. None of the Spider-Men do that for a reason. That's not the type of character Peter is. He was that like I think in the '60s cartoon a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But like even in the '90s cartoon, like Peter's kind of a Chad. Like he's a muscly dude. He just isn't like the most popular, but like that's it. Like, and I think that's like I think that was perfectly fine. I think the skateboarding thing, like nobody's like in the movie saying, "Yo, Peter, you're so cool, man. I really want to be like you." Like that never happens. And if anything, Peter's getting bullied on screen. Like people say that Flash never bullied Peter. That he only bullied that kid that he was shoving into his lunch.
Mm-hmm.
But like he literally throws like a basketball at Peter's head. He like starts bothering Peter when he's at his locker, which is why Peter even flips out on him, because right after Uncle Ben's death, like Flash is like trying to mess with him a little bit. At that point, he was just trying to say sorry about what happened, but it was so normal to where Peter was like, "Flash, not today, man. I'm really not in the mood." And then when Flash talked even more, he flipped out on him. So like that's like the point. Like I don't know how people miss the mark on that so much when if they've watched the movie. Like that's it. Like I don't know.
And I think like yeah, so they've definitely had to like kind of adjust what it means to be like kind of a little bit of an outcast and all that stuff, and then they've had to adjust what it means to be a bully, which you don't see that as much just because Flash hasn't been like like iterated as many different times and shit like that. But and then like I think it is really interesting though to compare like this MJ to Gwen from the Amazing Spider-Man, but then of course MJ from the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, because it's like the whole idea of like the typical like love interest, but like I think they did a good job with her as far as like, like a girl that realistically like would be interested in a guy like Peter and vice versa. And also just kind of like what is like a cute little quirky, nerdy, I mean, I always kind of felt like when I like in the Sam Raimi ones, especially, I was just kind of like, like I just don't see the chemistry that much. Like Peter, like to me, I was like, Peter is this nerdy guy, and like MJ in the Sam Raimi ones was kind of like, a little bit more preppy and all that stuff. And it was like, you ever seen the episode of Futurama where Fry gets the worms and he becomes like this fucking Chad, and now all of a sudden Leela likes him? That's how I always felt about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man and MJ was.
Yeah. A lot of people don't look at her character either.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think a lot of the Spider-Man stuff, like a lot of people are just overlooking and just completely missing shit about the character in like every movie.
Yeah.
Like even in the movies that I don't really necessarily love, I think everybody always misses like the mark if there is meant to be something to be understood. Because MJ, like people are like, MJ has no character. She has nothing going on. But like the entire first movie, like all of their stuff in the beginning is about her bad family life. Her dad is abusive. Her dad is yelling at her all the time. She had to get a job just for him to please him or whatever. And it's just like, I don't know, that's like such a big thing. And like the end of the movie when she kisses Peter, like that's only because Peter's the only person in her life that makes her feel Like she could just be herself. That she doesn't have to be like some preppy girl or whatever, that she could just be herself. Like that's like her entire character in that first movie. And like everybody misses it. Everybody misses it and says MJ has no character in those movies. She's a bad character. All she does is scream. I don't get how people like watch all these Spider-Man movies and don't pay attention to anything that happens. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Damn. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So like, would you say like that's your favorite iteration of like?
No.
Okay.
No. I think that like while that MJ has like good character stuff, it just gets thrown away a lot after Spider-Man 2. In Spider-Man 3, it's like it is about her, but she's like more like going back and forth
right
between who she wants or what she wants, and she doesn't even really know. But she just knows that there's a lot of issues with Peter because Peter starts being an asshole because of the symbiote and just his pride in general as being Spider-Man. His pride is really the thing in that movie that haunts him rather than the symbiote. The symbiote's not the reason why Peter's an asshole in that movie. Peter's an asshole in that movie because Peter's just gotten so cocky after all the stuff that he's done as Spider-Man that he knows he's on top of the world. He knows people love him. He knows he's the biggest. He's the best. And he just feels like he's on top of the world. But he lets that cloud his judgment and helping her with her problems. And he just thinks everything for him is Spider-Man. Nothing's about her. Everything's about him. That's the whole issue. But I don't like Kirsten Dunst that much in the role. I think that she does a good job in some of the movies and some of the scenes, like the end scene with Spider-Man 1. I think she does a really good job, but most of the time, it's just not my favorite iteration. I think she's good, but she's not my favorite. For me personally, the best so far, my favorite iteration is probably my favorite iteration's not from the movies, I guess. But if you're talking about the movies, I guess it's my favorite, but it's not by a wide margin.
So you have a different one? Like, what is your favorite one, like, period, then?
My favorite MJ is in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon. If you've never seen Spectacular Spider-Man, you should watch it. So, like, in that series, Gwen and MJ exist in the same universe because, like, in the movies, they've actually never really conversed. Like, besides Gwen being in the same room in Spider-Man 3 as MJ when Peter did the dance for MJ, but not for Gwen. That's the most they've connected in the movies. But in the show, like those two are both love interests for Peter, and I think that's just the best way that they've ever done it. That show was peak Spider-Man for a while for me, and it honestly, like, in terms of TV shows, I don't think they could ever match it up. See, that's one of the issues with Disney getting Spider-Man's rights for everything else, where they just have the rights. Because Disney make the shows now. After Spectacular Spider-Man got canceled because of that, Disney started making their own shows, and every show has been hit or miss or bad. Like the newest one is just bad. So like I just don't think that they could ever really hit that mark again. That's a real shame.
I really dig the MJ in Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah, I also really like her. I wish that her story could have been more about her herself, but it's really about her job.
Like, because I feel like they did a really good job of her kind of being like, damn, I'm a independent woman. I don't need no man. Like, you know, like like some of the burns that she'd do on Peter, I'm like, damn, like cut my man some slack. But also I'm kind of like, no, like
that's what I like a lot. Yeah. I like when MJ has sass.
Yeah.
That's what I like. I like that. I like when MJ is like a little sass.
She's not like the damsel in distress, you know? Like I'm kind of like, damn, you talking about some big dick energy. She's got Spider-Man by the balls over here, you know, making him meet her for some coffee or whatever, some pizza, you know, and like turning down Spider-Man for a date. I'm like, damn, girl, like, you know, that's But so kind of coming off Spider-Man in particular, like what got you so heavily into like movies? Was there ever like a movie that you were just like, damn, this shit hits different, and you like, you know, or
I mean, I've always loved going to the theater a lot, but the movie obviously that really made me start going a lot more is Spider-Verse. Okay. That was like, after that I was like, all right, I want to see more movies like this, and then I did. All right, to be honest, all right, if we're being real here, look in the camera. The reason I got my AMC Stubs A-List, which is like a subscription plan where you pay $23 a month, and like you get to see as many movies as you want, pretty much. You can see up to like 3 different movies a week, and as many times as you want for each movie. And you don't get charged for every movie. The only reason I got was just so I could see Spider-Verse more than a few times and not literally go bankrupt, because back then I didn't have as much money as I do now. So I did not have the money to see Spider-Verse 5 times in 1 week. But because of the Stubbs A-list, I could, because it didn't cost me anything.
So how much is Stubbs A-list?
$23 a month.
Oh, that's not bad. If you go in,
it's good for us, because for us, we have a lot of AMC theaters. Especially up here in New York, we have a lot of AMC theaters. Like there's like 3 that I can think of off the top of my head that I can go to. But like in other countries, they don't have it really.
I think,
and Regal has one too now.
Okay, because I was about to say
you have a Regal.
I think I'm more in a Regal area, but there are AMCs. Yeah. So
Regal has their own thing that's pretty much the same thing. Regal Unlimited.
How does that work if you wanted to like take somebody else with you? Like they need to also have their own membership.
Or yeah, like, they'd have their own membership, or you could just pay for their side and you don't have to pay. And that's pretty fine, because sometimes they get, and by sometimes I mean quite often, for whatever movie you see, they give you points, and points add up to a $5 reward, at least on the AMC Stubbs A-list. So for me personally, I often go to see the movies either by myself or with somebody else who has A-list. So after I see a bunch of movies, which I definitely do, I get rewards, and I use those rewards to get a flatbread at AMC theaters, because that's the only $5 thing really on their menu that isn't like a snack. And like it's like free food.
That's pretty cool though.
Like
like, you know, $23. I mean, that's like 2 movie tickets pretty much, at least. Depending on like how expensive they are in your area. And then, you know, like you said, every couple movies you got $5 off. Like you could, you know, go fucking buy some food, so you're not shoving.
And if not, I could just go see a movie.
Yeah.
Like right now, I can go on my phone and like get a movie for this weekend, not have any money come out of my account, and be chilling.
That's pretty dope.
And have my reservation, go in, everything.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
So
you've never been to a movie theater? You should try it at least once and see if you like it. I love going to the theater.
Yeah, I just read
the best way to see movies.
That is so wild, man. Yeah, like that is definitely something that you've got to do at some point in your life. Like,
yeah,
because I'm the same way. I love going, but yeah, it is expensive, you know. But it's really not that bad if you just shove some Skittles in your pocket or something like that. If you can,
yeah.
But never fails. Us being fat asses, we'll be like, all right, we're gonna go out to dinner before the movie. We'll go out to dinner and have like an actual meal, and then we're like, but snacks, we are gonna want snacks, so we go to a gas station.
But then there's the dine-in theaters, and like you can,
dude,
while watching. That's pretty
I haven't been to one of those yet, because like I would like to still be able to make my house payment and like stuff.
Yeah.
But like, so we'll have like a whole ass dinner, and then we'll go to a like gas station and like stock up on snacks and shit. Like I'll be putting, you know, shit in my fiance's purse. I'll be shoving my jacket pockets full of shit, and then like, you know, we'll go buy it there for really cheap, and then we go to the movie, and then we're like watching the trailers, and then they play. I mean, everybody that's been to a movie knows what I'm talking about. They play that thing, and it's just like you hear like the Coke pouring on the ice, and then the popcorn, and you're just like, oh man, I gotta. And then I'm just like, I just fucking.
For me though, the biggest problem is just you end up eating this shit before the movie starts.
That too. It
happens so much. Like I'll get something and I'll eat it all before the movie's over. And by over, I mean before it even like before the movie starts.
Before the trailers are over, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I know like 2 other main things you're into, you know, aside from movies, are obviously like games and anime. So kind of like the same question, I guess, with those 2. Like what got you? I'm assuming gaming was probably your first of those 3, like to get like, all right, this.
Yeah, gaming was first.
What was like some of your earlier memories as far as like when you were like really, really into gaming?
Sonic the Hedgehog, Sega Genesis.
Same here.
In this room, in the corner of my room, had a small 4x3 TV, had a Sega Genesis, played Sonic a lot, and that's like really where I started in general. And like I got more heavy into gaming, I guess, when I played Persona 4 after Omega made a video about it in 2012, I think. I don't remember exactly what year it was.
Mm-hmm.
And like I started playing that, I'm like, damn, this like was like, it was like life, but a game. And it made me feel things that I don't normally feel when I play video games. I didn't feel like this during Sonic the Hedgehog, you know what I'm saying? So like that type of thing definitely made me go and look more into different types of games and play different types of games, and yeah, I never looked back. And it's great. I love games.
That's cool. That's really cool because Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Genesis is literally like if you ask me like what's the first game you played, like that's usually what I think of. Like I remember playing those like because my sister was like a few years older than me, and so like I remember she would be like at school or whatever. She was in like kindergarten or whatever. My dad was working and I would be at home with my mom, and I literally remember like my parents got me like whichever one it was where you could play like two players, like somebody played Tails, and like I would like make my mom play as Tails because like I mean I didn't like go to school, I didn't have friends yet, you know, like I'm fucking like 4 years old, I'm just like mom play, and like just my mom has like no fucking idea what the hell's going on, like trying to like, but yeah. And then like of course around that time like the OG Pokemon games and shit like that, like I remember my sister and I shared a fucking brick Game Boy and all that.
Was it a Game Boy Advance or a Game Boy SP?
No, it was the fucking the Game Boy.
Can't see.
Yeah, like well,
Advance.
Not even the color, like literally like the brick one, original Game Boy, like black and white and all that shit.
Oh,
yeah, that's what blows my mind is that like. I mean, you and me, we're not old, but like in our childhood, we've gone from that to like a Switch, you know, which is, or even fucking cell phones, you know, whatever you want to consider portable gaming at this point.
It is crazy. Like we have seen a lot of change in our only like 2 decades, 2 decades and a half of living.
Yeah,
we've seen a lot of change, and that's crazy.
And then as far as anime goes, I guess like what was like the first anime that you were just like, this is it or whatever, or that
first anime I saw was it was a show called Negima, which is it was like a 2008 show. I think.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, it's not the greatest thing ever made, but it's like it was a fun show. It was like had some fun animation or whatever. It was like a show with like one guy and like a bunch of girls or whatever, and like that it wasn't like eye opening like, oh man, this anime stuff is hella cool. No, it was just like it was all right. It was pretty cool. And then obviously Dragon Ball, Naruto, all the shit that was on Toonami, because everybody understands that that's where most American children started out with anime. That's just how it is.
Like, not gonna lie, that's what I really thought you were gonna say was like, oh yeah, like when you said, oh, there was this show, I thought you were kind of being coy, almost like, oh, there's this show, you may have heard of it, it's called Dragon Ball, or
yeah, no, Negima was technically my first one that I saw.
Okay,
and then after that, I pretty much like kept watching, like just Toonami in general and all that stuff, and like,
dope,
that was cool and all that. But when I really cared more than anything about anime was when I saw a small little show. You may not heard of it because most people, and by most people I mean some people have, some people haven't. That is my favorite show ever. Is called Gintama, which is it's a comedy show. That it's in the same magazine that Dragon Ball was in and all that. It's mainly a comedy show, but like there's serious arcs where pretty much all of the character building is done through the comedy, and then the serious arcs are pretty much where it becomes more of a in-depth show. And the entire series kind of makes the switch over the course of like the 300 or so episodes that it is to being a more serious show. And honestly, like everybody who I've told to watch it, usually who sees it through really loves it. I just did a rewatch of it in November with a friend, and he loved it. But it's like some people, they're really raised on stuff like Dragon Ball or Naruto, where there's fighting almost every episode and all that stuff. So it's just not something that a lot of people are used to, having like actual comedy or whatever. So
no, I love comedy animes like I haven't seen a ton of animes, honestly. I've seen probably less anime than a lot of people think I have, but like Baka Test, like I loved that.
Yeah, I remember you really loved Baka and Test.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really seen any anime since I did my whole like hiatus and left. I mean, it's not really been something because to me, I guess I never got like super immersed in like anime as a thing. I was just always kind of like, you know, if this is good, I'll watch it. But like, I guess I just haven't really like put enough effort into getting into it. I didn't know that Gintama was more comedic though. I just kind of always assumed.
Yeah, it's mainly a comedy show. Yeah.
Okay. Cause like, yeah, I always associate it with like Dragon Ball and all that, since, you know, like you said, it was kind of published, you know, similarly.
Yeah,
and all
in the
that.
same magazine. It makes references sometimes to other other manga in that magazine. Like they'll talk about, make a joke about Bleach, Naruto, all that stuff. It's like, you know, and some people even think that the show's only references, which it's not. There's just some references that, you know, get posted on YouTube, and those are like the popular videos because people like when things get referenced that they enjoy. But yeah, I personally, that's just my favorite show, and honestly I think it's the best. Like personally, I think that's the best. But you know, I'm one of few that think that. But yeah.
I mean, like you said, everybody you get on it seems to like it a lot. So I mean, that's gotta be some sort of merit, you know.
Yeah.
I think you've got the best account on Twitter, mostly because, and I told you this one other time, but like, God damn it, dude, you have got a reaction picture and or video for every fucking thing on Twitter, or not even, no, look, I'm not even giving you credit, like not even on Twitter, like on Discord, on everything, like I just want to know, like, and this is a question that has genuinely been eating at me. Like, how big is your, like, reaction pics folder? Or do you not even have one? Do you just, like, freeball that shit?
I mean, they're mostly on my phone, but, like, I don't know, there's probably, like, 300 or 400 pictures on there. It's like, but it's just, like, if I see a picture that's funny on Twitter, which is often.
Yeah.
Often I will see something that's, like, out of pocket on Twitter, just funny, a funny picture, and I'll save it. I'll save it and be like, yeah, I'm just going to use this.
And then, like,
for later.
Somebody says something ridiculous on Twitter, and you're just like, all right, what do I got?
Yeah, it's just like, let me scroll really quick. All right, got one.
Okay, man.
Yeah, it even happened today. It's just like, yeah.
I'm a little disappointed. I just imagined you had,
well,
like...
you thought I had, like, a terabyte of pictures
and
just on my phone?
like, organized, like, all right, these are for, you know, I don't know, anger at a level of 6 to 8, you know what I mean? And this is a 10 plus, and like, I don't know, like you had your...
Yeah, that would definitely be way too much work. Yeah, no, I mainly just have fun.
Well, I guess disappointed isn't the right word. Maybe I actually have more respect for your meme game now, knowing that you just kind of off the cuff, you know?
It's off the cuff, yeah.
I mean, just imagine, everyone, if he did put that kind of methodical work into it. I mean, like...
At that point, I might as well just be a fucking supervillain. That's a lot of work for some memes.
Like, fuck Galactus. I know the next
Yeah.
MCU. Do you like delete one when you're done using it? So because I never see you reuse it.
Sometimes I will, like, but I'll wait. Like if I like use something like very recently, I just won't use it again.
Because
like I don't delete it.
I'm really bad about, like, I'm kind of a fucking
reusing the
grandpa.
same thing.
Yeah, like I'm kind of like, oh, this is so funny. Like, it's applicable to everything. You know, like I'm still in that 2015 meme mind.
You've never moved from that point in your life. You have stayed in 2013 and you have not moved. It's the same.
I really didn't.
You use the same terminology and all that stuff. I mean, like,
yeah. I really didn't. So speaking of memes, this is an opinion that I always get backlash on, and be honest with me here. So, but you are a man of culture, especially when it comes to memes, and so, like, I will respect your opinion on this. But with that being said, like, I've got to know. So personally, I think that the Baby Yoda memes already might not already be, but they either already are or they very soon will be the Minion memes of this decade. Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah. It seems very it seems pretty sound.
Because
the Minion memes this decade are just things that people that even normal people that don't even like, because like there's a lot of people that use Minion memes that never saw the movies.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
and like I think that's the same with Baby Yoda. I feel like a lot of it's already happened. I feel like people have already started using it. People who've never seen The Mandalorian who've just used Baby Yoda memes because, you know, they think he's cute or something. And
my thing is just like, like the Minion memes, like they're all, I mean, now granted they are different because the Minion memes are normally like boomers saying boomer things, like little sassy boomer sayings. And it's a picture of a Minion like, like laughing, like, cause, I don't give a shit about your opinion because I'm a boomer and all that, whatever. But like the Baby Yoda isn't so much like, I don't care or whatever, like, like trying to be sassy. But to me, like why I say it's the equivalent is because they just take this photo of something that's cute and easily recognizable and put a caption that is just so far unrelated. You know what I mean? It's just like they take no effort to create these, like, like all this chicken nuggy stuff. I'm like, look, I'm just like, look, I have probably the worst, like, I don't know, meme culture. Like, cause like I said, I'm still stuck in fucking 2015, but like, dear God, I feel like I'm so glad that you at least even marginally agree with me on that. Makes me feel better.
Well, people are going to disagree with you because they like using the Baby Yoda memes currently. They like it, but they don't like the Minion memes because one, those are old, and two, like, people just see Minions as cringy now, right? But it's the exact same thing with Baby Yoda, where it's a small, easily recognizable character that's in this movie or this show that I haven't seen, but I'm going to use this meme of it because it's, well, first of all, it's right there on Twitter. Like, if you click on the GIF, it's probably going to show a Baby Yoda meme somewhere pretty high up. So that's how it is.
Well, you guys heard it here first. Talk to us in a couple years when everybody, like, unanimously, like, finds these Baby Yoda memes cringy as fuck. So yeah, other than that, I think that's about it. Like, I just really was, like, amazed by the meme game on Twitter, and I just had to get some input on that. So I will let you get back to editing videos for folks.
Yeah,
I know you got some shit to do.
I definitely have 2 videos to do by the end of tonight because I have to wake up early in the morning.
Oh,
so I definitely have to do that. But yeah, hey, this was fun. I'll be on again if you want at any point.
Hey guys, how's it hanging, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of StormPod. I hope that you've enjoyed. Be sure to follow us on whatever platform it is that you are either watching or listening to this podcast on. We are on all of the major audio platforms, and of course, we do live stream these live on twitch.tv/thestormpow every week, so be sure to check that out so that way you can get in on the pre and post show for these. Be sure to check us out on YouTube as well, where you can watch the video on demand version of those live streams later on. And other than that, I hope that you tune in for the next episode of StormPod. I would love to have you. Be sure to also check out streamlabs.com/thestormpow/merch to get yourself a coffee mug or something else in relation to the podcast. Show your love a little bit. Show your friends that you love StormPod. All the music used in this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod. Be sure to check out his royalty-free music at incompetech.com. But other than that, guys, I do want to thank you so much for listening to this episode. I truly, truly appreciate it. You don't know how much I love each and every one of you guys for tuning into these episodes and showing us content creators the love. Other than that, I do want to thank you so, so much for listening or watching, and I hope you have a nice day, and goodbye.